All right, guys, so this is where we learn how to conjugate IR verbs, regular IR verbs, as I should specify, because I believe probably we have just as many irregular IR verbs as we do regular in the French language. So everybody, again, I mentioned you should all have gotten a paper copy of this. So just like we would do in class, grab a pen or a pencil and fill out those slides. That way you will have easy access to them as you complete the assignments. So a little bit of a review, right? To conjugate a verb, you need three things. What are those three things? Well, you need your subject, right? Who is doing the action? Then you need your verb, okay? And in this case, it's going to be a regular IR verb. And then you need a tense. And we haven't had to worry too much about tenses because so far we've really only worked with the present tense, but that's about to change next year. We're going to learn the past tense. So it's important to know what tense we're working with. All right. A little bit of review, okay, which doesn't hurt. Our subject pronouns. I is je or J apostrophe if our verb starts with a vowel or an H. You singular, tu, he, il, she, elle. We, nous. You as in you guys, or yous as we've used in some of our songs. Vous. They masculine, il, and they feminine, elle. Again, we don't pronounce those S's, but they're there. All right, so here we go. When conjugating regular IR verbs, the ending will be the same for each subject pronoun, meaning that for all regular IR verb, you're going to drop, if you conjugate with je, you're going to drop the IR and replace it with something, and that's going to be the same across the board, okay? So each subject pronoun has its own rule, but the rule is the same as long as you're conjugating a regular IR verb. So when conjugating an IR verb with je, you drop the IR and replace it with IS. All right, so we have the verb finir. So I want to say I finish or I'm finishing. I'm going to drop the IR, replace it with IS. Je finis. All right, so the S is silent. Want to conjugate réussir with je, I'm going to drop the IR, replace it with IS. Je réussis. Okay, which means I succeed or I am succeeding. Okay, so remember, it has kind of like those two meanings depending on the context or however you would express it in English. But in French, it's only one way to express that. Maigrir. We're going to drop the IR, replace it with IS. Je maigris. I lose weight or I am losing weight. Okay, so again, if you need to write the meaning of it next to it, like those two meanings, go ahead and do that. All right, when conjugating a regular IR verb with tu, you drop the IR and replace it with IS again. Oh, okay, so je and tu have the same rules. So I want to say you choose or you are choosing. I'm going to drop the IR and replace it with IS. Tu choisis. Again, that last S is silent. You gain weight or you're gaining weight. I'm going to drop the IR, replace it with IS. Tu grossis. And you finish or you're finishing. I'm going to drop the IR, replace it with IS. Tu finis. All right, so far, not too bad. Je and tu have the same rule. When we conjugate an IR verb with je or tu, we drop the IR, replace it with IS. When conjugating a regular IR verb with il or elle singular, we drop the IR and replace it with IT. Okay, so he chooses or she or he is choosing. Well, I'm going to drop that IR, replace it with IT. Again, that T is silent. Il choisit. You don't hear the T, right? Follows the rule that usually the last letter in a French word is silent. She passes an exam or she's passing an exam. I'm going to drop that IR, replace it with IT. Elle réussit à l'examen. He's losing weight or he loses weight. Drop the IR, replace it with IT. Il maigrit. All right, this is where it gets a little funky, and I think this gets to be a challenge even in, upper grades, upper levels. We forget about the plural subject pronoun conjugation, the way it conjugates. But when we conjugate a regular IR verb with new, it's funky, we drop the IR and replace it with ISSONS. All right, so we have that ONS at the end that we're very familiar with, but it's like, whoa, we have an ISS in there, which can look really funky when the verb, like grossir, already has a bunch of S's in it, and students second guess themselves, but just follow the rule. So we want to say we are finishing or we finish. So we drop the IR, replace it with ISSONS. Nous finissons. We are gaining weight or we gain weight. We're going to drop that IR and replace it with ISSONS. Nous grossissons. And this is where you second guess yourself because you see two S's here, two S's there, an S there, and you're like, is this right? It is, okay? So now that we've looked at this, any guesses as to what the ending for vous would be? Okay, so when we conjugate a regular IR verb with vous, we drop the IR and replace it with ISSEZ. So again, there's that EZ that we are so familiar with when conjugating verbs with vous. Okay, so we just add that ISS there. Okay, so vous with réussir, you guys succeed, or you're succeeding. Vous réussissez. There's another one with all these S's. Okay. Grossir, you guys gain weight or you're gaining weight. We're going to drop that IR and replace it with ISSEZ. Vous grossissez. It's a tongue twister almost. All right, and the last one, when conjugating a regular IR verb with either ed plural, we're going to drop that IR and replace it with, we're going to stay funky, ISSENT. Okay, now remember that ENT is always silent when we say it, so this is not going to be any different here. Okay, we're used to the ENT, we just have to remember the ISS, so they finish or they're finishing, drop the IR, replace it with ISSENT. Ils finissent. So it's almost like this is not here, okay? They're losing weight or they lose weight, drop the IR, replace it with ISSENT. Elles maigrissent. Okay, so that's how we conjugate regular IR verbs. So very different than our ER verbs. We will still have a group of verbs to learn, and it's going to be the regular RE verbs, and we're going to get that done eventually. But you're going to want to use this packet of guided notes to complete this week's assignments. If you have any questions, you know where to reach me.